Again, we're looking for this hatch closing coming up in the next couple of minutes, so stay tuned. We'll start to see some action with the crew coming up in just a little bit. Once they're actually inside and the hatches are closed, that kicks off a series of events to actually lead up to their departure from the station. Here we see some of the crew members coming in. We see Oleg Kononenko there. He's the outgoing Expedition 59 commander. He's going to be the Soyuz commander in the center seat. There's NASA astronaut Anne McClain. She's going to be in the right seat. And then just now into view, that's David Saint-Jacques, outgoing Canadian astronaut, wrapping up his first space flight. Now we're going to see some of the crew members remaining on board. First one is Alexei Ovchinin. He's now going to be the Expedition 60 commander, remaining on board. And there's Nick Hague and Christina Cook, who are also going to be remaining on board. Both NASA astronauts on their first flights. They're going to remain on board for Expedition 60, and Christina Cook actually going to remain for additional expeditions, as her stay was lengthened. She'll actually be staying on board until February 2020, coming home with a different crew.
MCC Moscow ISS on space to ground 2. How do you read us? Alexei, we read you and we see you well, guys. How do you read us? That's great. Looks great. Yes, we see you. You said your farewells. Everything looks good. Alexei. This is Idar speaking. Don't forget about the KSD cap. Yeah, I took it off personally and gave it to Oleg. Copy. Thank you. We're ready for hatch closure. As soon as you give us a go, we'll be closing the hatches. Yes, you can go ahead and close. Copy. Oleg is wiping down the seals. Okay, copy.
And we see the hatch now closed on the Soyuz side.
And I will start closing my side. Okay, go ahead.
And Alexei Ovchinin now moving in to close the hatch on the station side. These three right here, starting on the left there, that's NASA astronaut Anne McClain wrapping up her first space flight now with 204 days in space. In the middle is Oleg Kononenko. He's the veteran of the group today. This is actually his fourth long-duration stay on board the station. That's going to be good enough to give him a place in the record books. He's going to be sixth all-time with a total of 737 days in space spread across his 4 flights. And on the right there, also getting his name in the record book, is David Saint-Jacques from the Canadian Space Agency. He just set the longest single space flight by a Canadian astronaut. He's going to fall 1 day short of the record for most days in space by a Canadian, 205 days held by Bob Thirsk. But for a first flight, 204 days, very, very impressive. And again, David Saint-Jacques rounding out that crew of 3. They are already on board that Soyuz spacecraft, and they've been getting into their Soka launch and entry suits, which are the white suits. You can see them sitting there, and they're going to be getting ready to actually send the undock command and get the Soyuz vehicle separated from the station to begin their trip home. Again, just to run through some of the stats that this crew is able to put up, as they are spending 204 days in space with the end of this mission today. That's good enough for a little over 3,200 orbits around the Earth, traveling a distance of over 86 million statute miles. They saw the coming and going of multiple spacecraft during their time on board, several cargo craft, including the SpaceX Dragon, 2 in fact, and also a Northrop Grumman Cygnus vehicle, bringing up thousands of supplies, research experiments, and replacement hardware devices for the International Space Station. They were also on board when SpaceX completed its Crew Dragon Demo 1 mission, that first unpiloted test flight of the Crew Dragon vehicle, the first flight to station for NASA's Commercial Crew Program. So a lot of stats for them. They're also took part in several spacewalks during their mission. For Oleg Kononenko, 2 spacewalks on this, his 4th stay on board, giving him a total of 5 across his career, 32 hours, 13 minutes cumulative spacewalking time. Anne McClain, on her first spacewalk, took part in 2, or her first spaceflight took part in 2 spacewalks, 13 hours and 8 minutes, and David Saint-Jacques getting in 1, clocking at 6 hours and 29 minutes. That landing site is just to the southeast of a town called Dzhezkazgan. You can see it on the map there. It's in the middle, starting with the D. There's a number of assets that are going to be in play, including airplanes providing some overflight, and actually giving some communication, establishing communication with the Soyuz as it's descending, also moving personnel around. A lot of the forces are going to be traveling out there, though, on the Russian Mi-8 helicopters, including all of the search and recovery doctors, the flight surgeons, media personnel, cargo specialists, and others. And then several ATVs, all-terrain vehicles, will travel out to the site, arriving with just additional materials, and also actually arriving with a crane. That's how they actually get the Soyuz out of the landing zone, is by pulling it up on a crane onto one of these ATVs and driving it to a nearby airport. And we're just starting to see the sunrise on the Soyuz spacecraft and already getting some video. This is actually a view from the Soyuz itself. You can see the Earth turning in the background there.
D11, D15, and GAS-17 commands are confirmed. And we don't have the mechanical connection flag anymore.
And getting confirmation the docking system is powered. Standing by for undocking command.
Copy all. Separation is confirmed. Alexei, Nick.
And physical separation
Christina,
confirmed.
Bye-bye. See you soon, guys. Soft landing, guys. Godspeed. We'll see you back on Earth. Copy, guys. We'll see you back on Earth. Please monitor all the parameters. Yes, copy.
So the Soyuz beginning to back away.
Unintelligible.
That undocking coming at 6:25 p.m. Central Time, 7:25 p.m. Eastern. At the moment of undocking, the station was flying 256 statute miles over eastern Mongolia. So again, the Soyuz spacecraft undocked. Oleg Kononenko, David Saint-Jacques, and Anne McClain now flying free from the space station for the first time in 204 days.
Copy.
And so as we no longer have those views of the spacecraft as it continues to fly away, we are going to start to wrap up our undocking coverage. Be sure to stay tuned, though, because the most exciting part still to come, the actual landing and touchdown there in Kazakhstan. We're going to take a break and then come back on the air at 8:30 p.m. Central Time for our deorbit burn and landing coverage. And just to run through a couple of the major events that will unfold, things will start off with that deorbit burn, and that is targeted to happen right at about 8:55 p.m. Central. That again will be the final firing of the engines on the service module and the Soyuz to change the orbital track for the vehicle, eventually intersecting with the ground. So they can line up for that touchdown in Kazakhstan. So that deorbit burn will take place, and then just about a couple of minutes later, the separation of the modules. So that will be separation of the Soyuz into three different parts: the orbital, the descent, and the service modules. The orbital and the service modules will burn up on reentry, with the descent module with the crew continuing down, entering the Earth's atmosphere, eventually slowing from thousands of miles an hour down to just a few hundred initially. Then the command to open the parachutes, first the drogue, then the main, to do the bulk of the slowing for this vehicle. And then right when it's about a meter off the ground, those soft landing engines fire, and we will have touchdown. And that landing is targeted to take place this evening at 9:48 or 9:47 and about 55 seconds. So right around 9:48 or so p.m. Central Time.
Enters, we're getting ready for the separation program. Copy.
There it is. So there's the Soyuz spacecraft. You're going to see some, and you see some white smoke coming out. That's actually excess hydrogen peroxide being vented from on board the spacecraft. But there we have it. And you see that puff of smoke, that means the soft landing engines have fired and the capsule is on the ground. So they did make it down a couple of seconds early. We're going to call this landing at 9:47 p.m. Central Time, 10:47 p.m. Eastern Time, down just to the southeast of Dzhezkazgan, Kazakhstan. Oleg, Kononenko, Saint-Jacques, Anne McClain back on planet Earth. Yep, it looks like Oleg's first down, and he's going to make his way down this slide here. About how far is it, would you say, between here and those chairs where they're going to get carried over to?
Oh, like 15 feet probably. Not far at all. Looking. Waving to the crowd, waving to the crowd, looking very excited to be back on Earth and getting a round of applause and response.
And I think we have a few of Anne's friends and family here in Mission Control Houston hearing some cheers from our viewing gallery as Astro Animal makes her way out of the capsule.
Yes, some water.
Again, this was Anne's first space flight, 204 days in space. That's a heck of a duration for a first flight.
She looks like she came through well. She looks like she's feeling pretty good right now.
Over here towards me. Lift her higher. Looks good. Okay, go ahead and get the data.
And here comes David, pulling him out now. Also getting a round of applause and giving a thumbs up to the crowd. They're helping him down now.
Hey, stand by, friend.
What's up? And that's all three members out of the capsule and safely in their chairs.